We're going to do a comparison of the 8-inch and the 10-inch chef's knife. They're both perfectly good tools. They work very well. I happen to prefer the 10-inch. I think it's easier to work with. We're going to take a piece of celery and illustrate the low technique. I'll do it first with the 8-inch knife. The low technique starts by putting the tip of the knife on the board. You're going to push to make the cut, and you make a forward and downward motion. So you're pushing the knife until the back half of the knife is on the board, makes the cut, follow through, and then you come back and do the next cut. This is the grip of the hand that I'm going to be using, and that stabilizes the celery and gives me the size of the piece that I want to cut. So, tip of the knife on the board, draw it back about halfway, make the cut, follow through, pick the heel of the knife up, bring it back and make your next cut. This is really one continuous motion, not a stop and a start. Watch again, tip of the knife on the board. The knife lowers gradually, gets down, severs the celery, continues. I call that the follow through. This is a very fluid, easy, and relaxed motion. There's no tension in the arm. I feel with the 8-inch knife that I need about half the blade to do this. So if we do an immediate comparison with the 10-inch knife, which is longer, obviously, and heavier. And here's the grip you should be using, both the 8 and the 10 in most of your long knives. 3 fingers, from your middle finger to your pinky, get wrapped around the handle. You want to have your middle finger up against the finger guard right here. So these 3 fingers go here, wrapped around the handle. Your thumb rests on the heel of the knife. Your index finger is almost at a right angle and relaxed. This gets cut not here, drawing it back halfway, but here, drawing it back only about that much. What I'm trying to figure out is how much blade I need to cut it and to get that follow through, and then to bring it back. I'm going to remove the knife just for a second to show you what is happening to the holding hand, or what we call the guide hand. It is creeping back like this, slowly, with the knife up against it, and this gives you the ability to cut all your pieces the same thickness. This will start to feel like a continuous motion, not a stop and a pullback. If you can keep your arm relaxed, this is incredibly easy to do. This carrot is tapered. So we want to show you the difference between the low technique and another technique which we call high, which means you have to raise the knife off the board. So at this point on the carrot, I can use the same technique I used on the celery. Cutting, cutting, light grip, easy fluid motion. Nothing has changed until I get to about here, because to use the low technique, which starts with the tip on the board, I've got to raise my elbow and pull all these muscles up on the side. It feels uncomfortable. Let's watch the transition from low to high. Notice the grip. Right, I've got my thumb on one side, my middle finger on the other, and my index finger here. This carrot is stable. Instead of putting the tip of the knife on the board, put it on the food that you're cutting. Keep the knife angled. You want to do a long angled cut. It gradually lowers. You've done your follow through. You pick the knife up. You tilt it. Make your next cut. You keep the knife at an angle for a long time. If this knife straightens out in the middle of your cutting, you're going to be forced to push down, and that creates an awful lot of tension. Tip of the knife on the food. Long stroke of the knife. Lower it. Now you follow through. Lift the knife, angle it as you come back. I'll do this slowly. Lift, angle as you come back, make another cut. Angle as you come back. This technique requires more use of the blade, and that's where I find the 10-inch knife comes in very, very handy. Again, my grip is relaxed, my upper arm is relaxed. I'm getting a very smooth, fluid motion. Easy. Here's a review of the low cut, the low technique, followed immediately by the high technique. On the celery, tip of the knife on the board. We're going to make a forward and downward motion. As the knife hits the board, keep going. You follow through, pick up the handle, bring it back, and keep this fluid motion going. So again, tip of knife on the board, knife gradually cuts through the celery, makes the follow through, gets picked up, repeats the motion. High cut. Tip of the knife does not go on the board. It goes on top of the food, right? You want to keep the angle a long time. You make a long forward stroke, gradually lower the knife, pick it up, angle it, cut again.